Hi everyone and welcome to the first session of your wellbeing journey. My name's Amy and I am a therapeutic activities tutor and wellbeing champion for care. I'm also trained and qualified as a psychotherapist and I'm here to offer you some evidence-based tools and techniques to help you manage your emotions and also manage distress. So before we get started on the course, I just wanted to point you in the direction of a video that's been created by Brad. This is just a very brief introduction to online learning and how this will all work. For those of you that are using Facebook, I've uploaded this video along with this video. So please just take a moment to go and watch that video just to help you understand the process and how this is all going to work. So this particular course is 5 sessions long and each session will offer 4 hours of learning materials. This is going to include tutor videos but also things like worksheets, activities, information sheets. At times I might provide some further resources and some reading that you can do and also practicing the skills and techniques as well, and that's going to be a big part of this course, is that the tutor video will introduce you to tools and techniques, but the really important bit is that you go away and practice them in everyday life and get used to using those skills in different situations. I would recommend that you have a piece of paper and a pen handy because at times I'm going to be asking you reflective questions. I might ask questions for answers and suggestions or ideas, and it might just be easier to pause the video, make some notes on the paper and then come and comment on the Padlet and Facebook rather than trying to switch between the video and the platform. So that's just a suggestion. You might find it easier to comment at the time, but it might be easier to have a piece of pen and some paper with you. As this is the first session, there's also a lot of introductory information available to you already on the Padlet and Facebook. This includes links around safety and safeguarding whilst working online. Your learner handbook is available to you, and for this specific course there's a course information leaflet and our aims and outcomes so that you're aware of what it is that we're going to be covering over the next couple of weeks and also what it is that we hope that you're going to get from this course. There's a group charter which outlines what to expect from us but also what we expect from you, and it'd be really great if you could have a read through that and just comment whether you approve of it, whether there's anything that you'd like to add or change. And finally, there is a starting point questionnaire, which is really important for letting us know, what it is that you already know, but also what you'd like to get from this course. If it's not covered in the content, then it might be that I can offer some further reading or resources, or even just point you in the right direction to make sure that those objectives are being met. The great thing about working online is that we can be flexible, so we appreciate that not everybody's available at the time that we've scheduled these sessions. So the good thing is that these videos are available and you can watch them whenever, you can practice the skills whenever, you can do the worksheets whenever. And because of this, one thing that I do ask is that once you've watched the video, if you could just comment a thumbs up or like the video just to let me know that you've watched it. It can help me just monitor, where people are at, whether people have done it, and make sure that I'm supporting you in the best way possible. And on that note, I will be as interactive as I can be on the Facebook and the Padlet. I will try and comment to remind people to practice their skills. I'll put comments up to see how people are getting on. So it'd be really great if this can be an interactive space where we can all share our experiences and how people are getting on. So that's our overall learning objectives for the course, but each session will also have their own learning outcomes. So for today's session, I'm going to pop these up on the screen now. So as a starting point, I thought it might be useful to think about some of the key terms. So things like mental health and wellbeing, what it is that they actually mean, and how they're different but also similar. So mental health refers to the general condition of our psychological, mental and emotional health. We all have mental health in the same way that we all have physical health, and it's really important that we consider our mental health in the same way that we do our physical health, in that we have to actively look after it, we have to do things to take care of it. Nobody has naturally good mental health, and those that are mentally healthy tend to do things that support it. Mental illness, however, refers to the diagnosed disorders that have been diagnosed by a professional, and these tend to be more severe and more persistent, and they often have a really significant impact on day-to-day functioning. Because we all have mental health, it's completely normal to have bad mental health days or to struggle with our mental health. We all do at some point, and that's why it's really, really important to have these discussions around our mental health and how it is that we're feeling, because it's completely normal to have bad days or to struggle. Wellbeing is defined as a state of being comfortable, happy or healthy, but it's actually much more complicated than that. We have to think about our physical, psychological and our social wellness. So it's thinking about things like satisfaction, our level of control in life, our purpose, and just our general functioning in day-to-day life. So if you think about the descriptions I've just offered for mental health and well-being, what do you think positive mental health and well-being actually looks like? Take some time to think about it and offer some suggestions on the Padlet and Facebook. Now that we know what positive mental health looks like, it's also important to think about what it might look like if there was a decline in your mental health. So what would some of the warning signs be that you're struggling with your mental health? So again, just take some time to think about this and comment some answers on the Padlet and Facebook. For this one, it's important that you know yourself, because a decline in mental health can look different in different people. So as an example, for some people when they're struggling with their mental health, they just want to sleep all the time, or they're tired all the time. For other people, they really struggle to sleep and just don't get any sleep for days. So it's really important that you know what a decline in mental health looks like for you, so that you can notice any changes. And it's really important that you also know when to seek professional support. And this might be if those changes are happening a lot, so maybe every day, or if they're impacting on your day-to-day functioning or activities. My advice in this situation would be to first approach your GP for support, and they'll be able to signpost you or offer some solutions. But I'll also put some resources on the Padlet and Facebook to offer some suggestions if you do feel that you're at a point that you need to seek professional support. So the big question, how do you look after your mental health and well-being? For me, it's a direct comparison to your physical health. It's about resting when you need to rest, having time and relationship boundaries to prevent burnout, developing skills so that you can cope with emotional responses and stress, having regular stress relief and self-care, or using coping strategies that you have. It's about enjoying life and having things that make you happy and doing things that you enjoy, and having a balanced view of life, so making sure that you're seeing the positives and not just the negatives. And this is where this course is going to offer some really good tools and techniques to support better mental health and well-being. But a really big thing is paying attention to yourself, being more aware of your thoughts, your feelings and your behaviours, and really checking in with yourself more regularly so that you can notice some of these warning signs, notice any changes. And this links really nicely to mindfulness, which is about building self-awareness and being more present in the moment. And this is something that we're going to come on to next by offering a brief and basic introduction to mindfulness skills. The reason that I've chosen to introduce mindfulness skills first is that it's really, really important in using the other skills that I'm going to introduce, because we have to be aware and in tune of how we're feeling, how our impulses and urges are encouraging us to behave. So mindfulness is essentially about being present in the current moment. It teaches a non-judgmental awareness of our current experiences and the ability to control our attention. So being able to practice mindfulness means that you are self-aware, you'll be better able to tune into yourself, notice how you're feeling, identify any changes in your emotions, but also how you're feeling physically, as well as paying more attention to your thoughts. Being mindful is a little bit like living life with your eyes wide open, being aware of what you're experiencing in the present moment without being pulled into the past or worrying about the future. So it's about taking hold of your mind and controlling it. I always think it's like imagining your mind as a little untrained puppy that's pulling you off into different directions and off course, and maybe even sometimes in places that you don't want to go. So mindfulness is a little bit like training that little puppy. So why bother developing mindfulness skills? I've already mentioned one benefit, which is that it helps us feel more self-aware and in tune with ourselves, and this means we're better able to identify any decline in our mental health or well-being, but also just be more aware of what's going on for us in any particular moment. It allows more choice and control over our behaviours, and this is particularly important if you can be quite emotionally impulsive, because it just gives you the time to catch yourself before you do something that you might regret later. Practicing mindfulness can be the difference between thinking about how you want to act or reacting on your emotions. It can reduce suffering and increase pleasure. So if you think about it, if you can learn to focus fully on the present moment, then you're less likely to be worrying about the past or being anxious about the future, and you're going to be much more likely to enjoy the experience that you're having at the time. It allows you to truly participate in the moment without feeling self-conscious, and also be aware of things that you might not normally notice. It also helps focus your attention and therefore make you more effective and productive. So training your brain to remain focused on one thing in the moment is going to help you with wider things as well, like things like studying, work, sports and hobbies. When we're truly focused on something, we're more able to get more done and therefore achieve more success with it. Now this all sounds lovely, doesn't it? And mindfulness does have some really, really great benefits. But mindfulness isn't always about a positive experience or morning meditation and relaxation. Mindfulness is a skill that actually takes a lot of practice, and it can be really hard to get to a point where you really feel in control of your mind. So this is just something important to keep in mind so that you don't criticise yourself or get frustrated with yourself if you don't feel that you're doing it right. It takes a lot of time, so just be patient with it, be patient with yourself as well. And actually sometimes being in the moment and being in tune with how we're feeling or thinking can actually be really tough. So sometimes it isn't nice emotions that we're tuning into or paying attention to. Sometimes we learn things about ourselves that we won't necessarily like, but the aim is to build the self-awareness to be able to make the changes. So we do have to keep the long-term goal in mind, but I thought it was important to acknowledge that whilst it does have a lot of benefits, there are also some challenges that come with it as well. Mindfulness involves being in a state of mind where we can consider and be aware and acknowledge of how we're feeling and our emotions, but also think logically and rationally so that we can respond in a way that is positive and not in a way that we're going to regret later or that might have negative outcomes. So how do we actually do this? To start with, we have to think about what it is that we do when we're being mindful. The first step is to participate or to choose to actively engage in whatever it is that we're doing in the moment, whether that's talking with a friend, doing something fun, doing an activity or a hobby, or going for a walk. The second step is to observe. So really take in the details of that moment, pay attention to what it is that you're doing and what's around you and what you're experiencing. And then the final step is to describe that by using just facts. So not bringing in opinion or assumptions, just simply describing what it is that you observed in a very kind of black and white way. So if we take the example of going for a walk, to participate, it's making sure that there aren't any distractions, your phone's in your pocket, you haven't got headphones in, so that you're actually actively engaging in that walk. Then you would take in everything around you, so really paying attention to the details and your environment of that walk. focusing on your senses maybe, thinking about what you can hear, what you can see, what you can smell, and then describing that in a very black and white way. So I could hear the birds in the trees, I could hear the leaves rustling, not bringing in any opinion like that was nice or enjoyable or that was frustrating. Then it's thinking about how we do it. So we have to focus on just one thing in the moment. So if we're doing an activity, it's important that we're just focusing on that activity. We're not thinking about the past, we're not thinking about the future, we're not thinking about what we should be doing in this moment or whether we deserve to be doing what we're doing in the moment. It's just taking that one thing and focusing on just that. And then finally, it's doing it non-judgmentally, so not putting any labels or opinions on things, not criticising ourselves or our environment. It's about, like I say, just describing the facts and just focusing on what it is that we're experiencing. I've uploaded an information sheet to the Padlet on Facebook that just summarises all of the information that I've given you about mindfulness, but also some suggestions on how to practice mindfulness skills, because like I say, it's going to be a really important skill in using the tools and techniques for managing your emotions and your distress. So take a look at that and make sure that you take some time this week to practice some mindfulness skills. So now we move on to what this course is actually about, which is managing emotions and managing distress. So these two concepts are going to run side by side throughout the course, which means that each session will have 1 or 2 skills to help you manage emotions and 1 or 2 skills to help you manage distress. In today's session, I'm just going to introduce you to why these skills are important, what some of the goals and benefits of doing them are, and why you should invest in practicing them and integrating them into your day-to-day life. So for this, I've uploaded some information sheets to Padlet and Facebook. There's one for managing emotions and one for managing distress. It'd be great if you could take the time to read through those so that you'll have a better understanding going forward when we're talking about the skills, about why they're important and how they can help you. Hopefully the information provided in today's session has laid some really good foundations for helping you to move forward on this course for managing your emotions and managing your distress. So please take the time to go through the information, as it's really going to support you with using the skills going forward and really help you to understand how some of these things will be of benefit to you. As a final point, I've also uploaded some information around emotions. There's a resource around identifying emotions, and there's a lot more than you can probably think that there are. But next week we'll be looking at how you can build positive experiences and also use effective distraction. So I look forward to seeing you all next week, and please let me know if you've got any questions or any feedback from today's session.